One RTI response has created a storm. Selfie points at different railway stations across the country featuring cutouts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And they came for a cost. A temporary one, according to the RTI response, had cost railways 1,25,000 rupees and the permanent ones came for 6,25,000 rupees. Crores of money spent after branding and promotion, what the government says their way of highlighting the India story. Thus, this reality check.
What you see behind me is a railway station. It is Shialda railway station. A railway station which is meant for Aam Aadmi, common people, because they take the trains to travel from one place to another place. And at times, when luck do not really favor them, trains do meet with accidents. We have covered multiple train accidents in the year 2023 alone. Balasore train tragedy, which happened in the month of June, was a wake-up call. And that also led to a lot of criticism for the railway ministry that has so far maintained that they are doing everything possible, the best, in the interest of passenger and their safety. Every year, budget has a certain amount allocated for the betterment of railways. And infrastructure is of utmost importance to have a swanky railway station, to have malls inside railway station, to have automated platform ticket service and e-ticket service are all important. But then there is something called passenger safety. And the passenger safety had been at the core of a growing angst and concern amongst people, the daily commuters, as whether railways had been doing enough to ensure that public safety and passenger safety are not compromised. And thus, Kavach is a very, very, very emotive issue. This is a selfie point which has been put up at Shialda railway station for some time, but this is how it looks like. There are people who are sleeping in front of it, and it is in a very sorry state. Now, it has been left lying at one corner, almost like a waste, and at the same time, there is no element of respect to the creative spirit, to the Prime Minister, to the entire thought, and it has been left at one corner. Now, I also saw people like literally dumping their waste nearby. As you see, it's waste all over, and strange is this particular selfie point had the message Clean India, Swachh Bharat, Clean India का मैसेज लेके ये सेल्फी पॉइंट को लगाया गया था. और अगर सबसे गंदा कोई जगह इस स्टेशन में है वो है ये एरिया जहाँ पे इसको रखा गया है. Behind it's absolutely empty. You can just come this side and show. There is an aluminium frame. Now it looks like a temporary installation because look, it is not fixed. It is not affixed to the wall or to the ground, and thus it is clear it is a temporary installation. You really believe this can cost 1,25,000? 1,25,000. And even if you have spent money after it, how are you maintaining it? How are you maintaining it? When you spend money, buy something, and then when you have to maintain it, it is equally your responsibility. So what has Indian Railways done? ट्रेन स्टेशन में जगह जगह पे सेल्फी पॉइंट बनाया गया, आपको मालूम है?
नहीं, वो उसका नहीं मालूम.
आपको मालूम है सेल्फी पॉइंट बनाया गया, क्या मालूम है?
यही कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से एक सेल्फी पॉइंट बनाया गया है हर जगह लेते.
आपको क्या लगता है सेल्फी पॉइंट लगाना चाहिए स्टेशन में या फिर ट्रेन में और सर्विस में सुधार लाना चाहिए?
ऑब्वियसली ट्रेन के सर्विस में सुधार लाना चाहिए.
आपके पीछे में सेल्फी पॉइंट है, अब देखिए घूम के एक बार और उसका हालत देखिए
जी,
क्या कहेंगे?
बिल्कुल, ये इसका मतलब इससे बेहतर होता कि ट्रेन का जो सिस्टम है उसको सुधार देना है. क्योंकि अगर आप देख लीजिए लोकल ट्रेन का तो वो हमेशा हर वक्त लेट ही रहता है. कभी कोई टाइम टेबल नहीं है, हमेशा 5 से 10 मिनट 15 मिनट 20 मिनट लेट रहेगा कभी कभी. तो इन सब चीज़ पे काम करना ज़्यादा बेटर रहेगा. स्टेशन का तो जो देख रेख होता है या फिर साफ़ सफाई, इन सब पे काम करना ज़्यादा.
आप सेल्फी लेंगे?
एज ए स्टूडेंट तो नहीं.
और आपको मालूम है 2023 में बालासोर ट्रेन ट्रेजिडी हुआ था, एक्सीडेंट हुआ जिसमें करीबन 290 के ऊपर लोग मर गए. तो तब कहा गया था कि कवच नहीं था उस ट्रेन में.
जी,
तो कवच ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है या सेल्फी?
ऑब्वियस सा बात है, कवच.
आप सेल्फी लेंगे?
नो.
क्यों?
क्योंकि सेल्फी लेने से क्या फ़ायदा होगा तो पता नहीं है ना.
वो तो कोई सुधार नहीं ला रहा है। सेल्फी पॉइंट स्टैब्लिश करने से रेलवे स्टेशन पे उससे तो कुछ मतलब डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो रहा है या फिर उससे कुछ सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशंस नहीं बढ़ रहा है, तो एज इट इज़ है।
आप इसको देख के कह पाएंगे कि 1 लाख के सेल्फी?
नहीं, वो लग रहा है देख के 1 लाख का वो रहेगा।
कितने का हो सकता है?
वो तो ऐसे जो बैनर बनता है 5-10 हज़ार का इतना, लेकिन बनाने ही क्यों है वो?
बनाए क्यों है?
हाँ, वो बनाने ही क्यों है? वो नहीं बना के इसमें इम्प्रूवमेंट लाए, स्टेशन में लाए, सेफ्टी में लाए, हाइजीनेशन में लाए, इसमें इम्प्रूवमेंट लाए ना। वो
क्यों ये स्वच्छ भारत मोदी जी कह रहे हैं कि सब कुछ अच्छा हो गया, तो
वो तो वही जानता, हमें तो नहीं दिख रहा कहीं।
अच्छा,
हाँ।
आपको क्या लगता है, खुद का प्रचार है या फिर देश का प्रचार?
वो खुद का प्रचार है।
खुद का प्रचार?
हाँ।
आपको क्या लगता है, खुद का प्रचार या देश?
ऑब्वियसली खुद का प्रचार है।
क्यों कर रहे हैं इतना प्रचार?
क्योंकि सामने इलेक्शंस हैं, स्टेशन पे सेल्फी पॉइंट लगा देना, तो ये एक तरह का एडवर्टाइजमेंट ही हुआ एक तरह से। क्योंकि और सब भी कंपनी अगर कोई अपना एडवर्टाइज या फिर बैनर लगाता है तो वो एज एडवर्टाइजमेंट उसको देखा जाता है। तो ऑब्वियस सा बात है, ये भी अगर कुछ, हाँ, अगर कुछ एक मोटो रहता है या फिर कुछ एक सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशंस का बैनर लगा रहता है या फिर कुछ भी ऐसा, तो वो ऐसा समझा जाता है कि ये इन्फॉर्मेशन है, फॉर इन्फॉर्मेशन है या फिर कुछ सेफ्टी के लिए। वैसा तो कुछ है नहीं। ये तो स्वच्छ भारत जो लिखा हुआ है वो तो होना ही चाहिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, मगर वो दिखता नहीं है।
स्वच्छ भारत दिखता नहीं है। Young people, they are saying they are not interested taking selfies. What to do now? What to do now? So at Howrah railway station we found another selfie point which is right here, which has the cutout of Prime Minister Modi along with another cutout of an elderly gentleman seated and a doctor attending him, and it's written #Buzurgo ka Samman. Now ideally what I've seen such selfie points elsewhere, Buzurgo ki Samman is meant to stand out. This is a 3D these are 3D letters which are meant to create that kind of an effect and depth. But for that it needs to stand up, but here it has fallen and nobody has cared to lift it up again, which also shows how poor the maintenance is. Now according to the government data and the response to the RTI, it is clearly mentioned for a permanent installation of this kind the cost is 6,25,000 rupees. If I do a measurement, which I would later show to one of the vendors, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you know, it is barely 8 feet by 8 feet, and we will take this measurement and the picture of this very selfie point to a local vendor and try and understand how much can this cost, because this looks very shoddy. You know, it has a platform which is made of sunboard. You have a vinyl which is fixed on it as a you know, giving you a wooden finish kind of a feel, and then you have these cutouts which are fixed on the steel and aluminium frame, and on you know, behind that you have a flex which is again put up against an iron frame. So if the elements are so simple, the cost of making something so simple cannot be this exorbitant, as high as 6,25,000 rupees. Many are questioning as whether spending 6,25,000 rupees after a selfie point of this kind is worth, because you are trying to highlight the glorious story of railways, but you're not talking about Kavach. Kavach is meant to have been installed you know, across the length and breadth of Indian railways, and it's still work in progress. And in the meantime, what we have witnessed are multiple devastating train accidents and mishaps which has only cost human lives. And that's the reason it's a very legitimate question. What is more important, Kavach, public safety, or a selfie? Like I've asked this question, and many people had hit out at me, and people have trolled me as why did I ask this question after the Balasore train tragedy, that people who have been given compensation of 10 lakh rupees, after death, how can this money make a difference? Yeah, it can make a difference to the lives of the family members, for those who have lost their soul earning members, but those who have died, they are dead. And it's against their death certificate you have issued money. Life would have been much better for them had they been safe, hale and hearty and alive. और अगर सेल्फी में फोटो खींचना ही है, क्या बालासोर की याद एक सेल्फी मिटा पाएगी? सवाल सबके लिए।
हम लोग तो अभी कॉलेज स्टूडेंट है, ठीक है। हम लोग का कहाँ से पैसा मिलेगा? एक टिकट जब दे रहा है, अब 60 रुपया देकर टिकट खरीद रहा हूँ घर जाने का टाइम में, तो अब अगर एक बार भी बोल देते कि यहाँ पर ऐसे अभी रिजर्व हो गया है, अब टिकट नहीं मिलेगा, फिर हम लोग
ये लोग तो सेल्फी पॉइंट बना रहे हैं, पैसा खर्चा करके मोदी जी का पिक्चर लगा के ये लोग सेल्फी पॉइंट बना रहे हैं। आपको क्या लगता है कि वो पैसा ठीक एक्सपेंस है कि या फिर आप लोग
एक तो और एक ऐसा अगर जनरल कोच यहाँ पर रहता, ये इतना दिक्कत नहीं होता, ये दिक्कत नहीं होता। वो पैसा वहाँ पर खर्चे से यहाँ से अगर खर्चा होता और एक तो बोगी रहता तो और अच्छा रहता।
अच्छा, कहाँ जा रहे हैं आप?
सर झारखंड जा रहे हैं।
झारखंड जा रहे हैं। और ये ट्रेन का ऐसे ही हालत रहता है जनरल में?
ऑलमोस्ट।
ओके, तो आप क्या कहेंगे, ये जो सेल्फी पॉइंट बना रहे हैं, पैसा खर्चा कर रहे हैं,
वेस्ट ऑफ मनी है, उसको अच्छी जगह यूटिलाइज करना चाहिए।
हाँ
हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से तो यही लगता है
हाँ
कि अगर ऐसा है तो आपको सुविधा देना चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर आप टिकट बांटिए ही मत। टिकट आप सेल बंद कर दीजिए जब आपका फुल हो जा रहा है सिटिंग अरेंजमेंट पे।
आप लोग फोटो खींचेंगे उधर पे? आप खींचेंगे उधर पे सेल्फी पॉइंट पे फोटो?
ट्रैवल करने के लिए है। अगर आदमी ट्रैवल ही नहीं कर पाएगा तो सेल्फी खींच के क्या होगा?
मतलब कितना ज़्यादा रिस्क लेकर के लोग यहाँ पे खड़े हैं।
अगर यहाँ से कोई गिर गया,
हाँ।
उसका कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेने वाला है? कोई नहीं लेगा।
वो सेल्फी लेगा?
वो क्यों सेल्फी लेगा? उसका प्राण का पहले आता है ना, उसके बाद सेल्फी।
You know, there is barely any space to even stand. I am on board this Shaktipunj Express, which is starting from Howrah, and look at the condition of the bogie. This is the condition of the general bogie, and there is hardly any space out here, and the passengers are extremely livid. This is how they have to continue with their journey, and they are also surprised that if there are common people who have to take the train, why can't there be more general bogies for them? So, look here. I just want to give you a sense of the general compartment, and the general compartment is jam-packed. तो जिनको सीट मिल गया, लेकिन बाकी जितने सारे स्टेशन से लोग चलेंगे, कैसे मैनेज होगा?
मालूम नहीं।
हाँ,
धक्के खाएंगे, पैदल जाएंगे।
धक्के खाएंगे,
पैदल जाएंगे और खड़े होकर जाएंगे।
तो ये बोल रहा है कि ट्रेन का रेलवे का परिस्थिति और अच्छा हो गया, लोगों को उत्साहित कर रहा है कि सेल्फी लो। क्या कहेंगे आप, अच्छा हुआ है?
ऐसा कुछ तो नहीं है, एक ही बोगी है वैसे इतने बड़े ट्रेन में।
हाँ,
और सब ऐसे ही जा रहे हैं सब लोग। फिरोजपुर कैंट से अगरतला जाने की ट्रेन।
हाँ।
क्लीनर फ़ोन नहीं उठा रहा है, कॉल कर चुके हैं। भाई पैसा किस बात की ले रहे हो, है ना?
हाँ।
ये देखो, ये इसका हाल देखो, है ना? बाथरूम का देखो, पूरा टॉयलेट है, ठीक है।
तो उसके बाद रेलवे से कोई संपर्क किया आपसे?
मैंने ट्विटर में भी पोस्ट किया,
तो कोई संपर्क किया था
लिंक्डइन में
आपसे?
भी किया, नहीं किसी ने नहीं किया। वो आ रहा हूँ बोले और आया नहीं। देखो मैंने वीडियो भी बनाया था, पूरा पानी, टॉयलेट का पानी पूरा बोगी में आ गया था। ये स्लीपर का है ये।
तो आप सेल्फी खींचेंगे या फिर ये फोटो ज़्यादा पोस्ट करेंगे?
ये फोटो ज़्यादा करूँगा मैं, ये पोस्ट करूँगा।
मोदी जी के साथ सेल्फी नहीं लेंगे?
नहीं।
क्यों?
भाई सर्विस सही नहीं मिलेगी हमको, है ना? वो अगर क्या बोलते हैं, यहाँ के लोकतंत्र के वो हैं, राजा हैं।
हाँ।
प्रजा खुश नहीं है तो राजा को क्या मजा आएगा प्रजा के साथ फोटो लेके? मतलब राजा के साथ में फोटो लेके प्रजा को क्या मजा आएगा?
अच्छा,
अगर उसको सही सर्विस नहीं लेगी तो।
अच्छा।
पिताजी अगर बेटे की सही परवरिश नहीं करेंगे तो बेटा कैसे पिताजी को मतलब सम्मान करेगा या उनके कहने पे चलेगा?
दादा, आप कहाँ पे जा रहे हैं? राउरकेला। ऐसे खड़े होके जाना पड़ेगा?
हाँ,
दिक्कत नहीं होगा?
होगा दिक्कत।
तो कह रहा है कि रेलवे बहुत ज़्यादा सुविधाएं दे रहा है। आपको लगता है कि सुविधा
नहीं दे रहा है?
सेल्फी खींचने के लिए बोल रहे हैं, आपने सेल्फी खींचा?
नहीं खींचा।
नहीं खींचेंगे?
नहीं।
हाँ,
नहीं।
क्यों?
बस सुविधा रहेगा तब ना खींचेगा कोई।
ओके, सो आप देख सकते हैं, आई एम सो सॉरी, न्यूज़ द ट्रूथ। So this is just a reality check to show you as see, it is a reality check to show us how life is when you are traveling on a general bogie, and the general bogies have been reduced from 2 to 3. They have now been reduced to 1 or 2 in most of the long distance trains, and these passengers who can't afford a reserve ticket, they have no other option but to travel in a general bogie. For them, these selfie points do not really make a difference, and they are saying अगर प्रजा खुश ना रहे तो राजा के साथ सेल्फी क्यों खींचे? इफ दिस इज इंडियाज ग्लोरियस स्टोरी, बुजुर्गों का सम्मान करना सिखाया है मोदी जी का सरकार, ये नया सरकार, और बहुत सारे सुविधा दिया है बुजुर्गों के लिए। जनरल बोगी में बहुत सारे बुजुर्ग इंसान भी थे जिनके घुटनों में दर्द है, लेकिन उनको खड़े होकर जाना पड़ेगा पूरा सफ़र, क्योंकि बैठने का जगह नहीं है। एक छोटा सा डिब्बा है जिसमें लोग जैसे तैसे चढ़ तो गए, लेकिन सफ़र कैसे कंप्लीट होगा मालूम नहीं। और ये सफ़र बहुत लंबा है। ये था गीतांजलि एक्सप्रेस जो मुंबई तक जाएगी, और ये ट्रेन बहुत लंबा एक सफ़र तय करेगी, लेकिन और इसके बीच में बहुत सारे स्टेशंस भी आएंगे, यानी जनरल कंपार्टमेंट में और ज़्यादा लोग चढ़ेंगे। और इसीलिए जो सारे वीडियोस आप देखते हैं, वो जो वीडियोस आप देखते हैं कि ट्रेन में लोगों को दिक्कत हो रहा है, असुविधा हो रहा है, और दे कीप पोस्टिंग पिक्चर्स ऑफ द इनकन्वीनियंस। This is the reason why the inconvenience has increased manifold. If general bogies would go down, then people who otherwise would travel in a general bogie would hop into a sleeper class and AC coaches, and that's exactly what had been happening.
While contracts for work are generally issued through tenders, the RTI response doesn't clarify which vendor was assigned with the work and the cost breakup. Whether the vendor assigned had outsourced the work or did it itself. While 1,25,000 rupees or 6,25,000 rupees individually could sound small, but cumulatively they account for a lot of money. We checked with local vendors and the response was shocking. Once costing railways 6,25,000 rupees have been quoted by local vendors as low as 35,000 to 70,000 rupees. While most of the vendors didn't take a chance of issuing a statement on record, but some fear the prices might have been inflated. There is a possibility that vendors had outsourced the work and charged an amount that also included their own cost, in other words, commission. This vendor, whose details we are withholding, has given a quotation of a similar selfie point. This, according to Railways, is of permanent nature. The quotation is roughly of 33,000 rupees without that wooden platform, without the transportation and without installation cost. Question is, can the wooden platform, transportation and installation put together cost more than 5.5 lakh rupees?
The CPRO, who had disclosed the details of the cost incurred for the installation of the selfie booths following an RTI filed by RTI activist Ajay Basudev Basu, has now been transferred or shunted for reasons not known. But what we know is a notice has been issued by the Indian Railways which outlines the transfer of the CPRO. The notice states, and we have accessed it here, with the approval of the competent authority, following order is issued with immediate effect. Shri Sapnanil D. Neela SR DOM/PA is transferred and posted as CPRO vice Shri Shivraj P. Manuspure. The posting order of Shri DOM/PA vice Shri Sapnanil D. Neela and of Shri Shivraj P. Manuspure will follow. Now this notice comes mere days after the RTI saw the day of light. The RTI caused a massive political controversy where the opposition leaders have questioned that if the safety and security of the common people is more important than such huge investments into election campaigns. As a matter of fact, the tenure of a CPRO is generally 2 years, but the CPRO who had disclosed the details of the costs incurred has been transferred within 7 months of him assuming power.
Most of the people are questioning as what is the point of installing selfie points inside the railway station, and if somebody has to take a selfie with the Prime Minister, would either prefer Prime Minister in person, or if it is a settlement with cutouts and posters, then there are posters and cutouts all across the country. Why do you need to install selfie points at the cost of 1,25,000 rupees to 6,25,000 rupees, wherein the same amount of money could have been invested after the betterment of railway services? And we are harping on that point over and over again, because after Balasore train tragedy, the debate that hovered around was over Kavach. In September, while responding to a question from a member of parliament in Rajya Sabha, this is the response given by Indian Railways. by the Railway Ministry, where it clearly said that Kavach is in place only on 1,465 route kilometers, and that falls under the South Central Railway Zone and is there in 121 locomotives. Indian Railways, its map covers 1.3 lakh route kilometers. 1.3 lakh route kilometers. In December, precisely on 6th of December 2023, once again Railway Ministry had responded to a similar question, this time in Lok Sabha. And the question was once again, how far had been the implementation of Kavach? And the Railway Ministry's response was once again 1,465 route kilometers, which means from September 2023 till December 2023, in a span of 3 months and more, Kavach has not been implemented beyond 1,465 route kilometers. And thus the question, where is the progress? Just by the virtue of having Kavach on the locomotive, which is the train engine, your system is not foolproof of impending accidents, because that follows an ecosystem. By having Kavach in the locomotive, it's very good, but you also need to have appropriate signaling. You also need to have Kavach on the tracks, and that's how holistically you create an ecosystem where the train engine, while pulling the bogies, would be much more secure. And this explanation is not coming from me. It is coming from technical experts who say that Kavach or installation of Kavach only on loco component is not effective to protect a train from collision unless the full system is in place on the entire route of the train. They're also saying that multiple components of Kavach make the complete automatic train protection system, which is ATS, a foolproof one. And it is an expensive proposition, and thus every money counts. What did Supreme Court say? Supreme Court has pulled up the government, or rather has questioned the government. What is the government doing to prevent rail mishaps? What is the status of Kavach? Has asked the government to give a detailed report. The Supreme Court has also, while hearing a PIL on Kavach, on the security and safety system, has questioned the government. What is the status of Kavach? What should be your response? Should you be saying that we have installed selfie points? The train pilots, the officials out here, they're absolutely silent. And how can they speak? It would need a lot of guts to speak out, especially when you know the CPRO of Central Railways has now been transferred. His fault? He had disclosed the cost involved in the installation of every selfie point. A government notification. You know what it says? Henceforth, every RTI response from railways will have to be endorsed by the superiors. This too is a fallout of this RTI storm, which had revealed the shocking details of the cost involved in every selfie point installation at railway stations. It says, in order to address the above situation on the zonal railways, it has been decided the timelines for disposal prescribed in the RTA Act 2005 should be adhered to, and to maintain the quality, replies to all RTA applications shall be approved respectively at the level of General Manager on the zonal railways and DRM in the divisions. So you can't handle the query, you suppress the query, you tweak the query, or you tweak the response. This is the fallout of RTI storm. We are not against anyone doing any kind of a branding, it's their prerogative. We are only concerned about the safety and security of passengers. I don't want to wish to cover another Balasore train tragedy. Nobody would wish to cover another train tragedy. We want every journey hereby taken by people, by us Indians, would be a happy journey, a safe one. And compensation alone is not an answer to a tragedy. Action equally is important. Are selfie points more important than Kavach? With Shumon Gupta and Titash Mukherjee here in Kolkata, this is Tamal Saha for News the Truth. NTT. Questions will be asked today, tomorrow, and always.